Be my sidekick so you won't become my competitor. So as you all have heard me talk about in some previous analyses, how I warn you guys of aligning yourself with people who appear to have everything going for themselves at the surface, and you're hoping to connect with them to establish some kind of partnership or maybe collaborate. And I often tell you guys, don't necessarily lead with appearances, because a lot of people are in the positions that they're in because they've mastered the art of canceling out their competition. And as I was pondering today, I thought to myself, well, I don't think you've done a thorough analysis of how this can happen, or typically what leads up to this point. And I already posted several, videos talking about contingent companions, for example, the malicious mentor. But I wanted to give you guys a detailed breakdown as far as how an evolved envious person utilizes proximity and access to cancel out their potential competitor. And this is why differentiating a jealous person from an envious person is so significant, because jealous people, for the most part, their behavior, their attitude towards the person that they're jealous of is very overt. They'll click up with other people in that environment and openly gossip about, slander, give dirty looks to, etc., to the person that they're jealous of. But an envious person is way more calculated. They understand that you attract more bees with honey. So what they do is they utilize, first and foremost, masquerading. They masquerade their real intentions for their target of envy. And secondly, they utilize proximity and access in order to ruin a target of envy's life from the inside out. And this can often present itself, for one, in a friend group where someone is interested in becoming your best buddy, right? You getting up under them, being right up under them for all of their whereabouts, everything that they're doing. And if you're not careful, you will actually internalize this with the form of flattery. You'll be flattered at the fact that this person was so eager to intertwine you with their activities, their relationships, their friend group, etc. But you're not realizing that this person is using a very strategic approach to monopolize all of your time, your energy, and your resources, to where you're so consumed with helping them or being so active in their life that you're not utilizing that time, your resources, your vitality to focus on and build upon your own life. And this can also be prevalent in a professional setting. Some of you all are flabbergasted, for lack of better words, at the fact that a person who went out of their way to hire you, they trained you, they had you up under their wing, working under them, and then turn around a couple months later, maybe even a couple of weeks later, now they're the biggest thorn in your side. They're making things difficult for you. You're finding out that they actually trained you wrong. And you're confused at, well, why? If you knew that you didn't like me, if you knew that there was something about me that rubbed you the wrong way, why would you go out of your way to not only hire me, but to have me working specifically up under you? Well, this could be better understood by revisiting the malicious mentor, envious archetype in the book Green Eyes, and how when envious people are utilizing the strategy of proximity, what they're doing is they're finding a way, they're finding an avenue to get you up under their wing so that they can sabotage everything that you're trying to build, or they can gain relevant information and intel about your goals, maybe even your background, to weaponize that information against you. And what got me thinking about this and wanting to make a specific analysis highlighting this dynamic in detail was when I was revisiting some older friendships that I had in the past. And it's all love, it's no hard feelings, but I realized that my relationship with those friends, it was very skewed, and it was more so skewed in their favor. I realized that for the most part, all of my time, all of my resources and my acknowledgement, it was dedicated to building this quote unquote friend up. And I recently was talking on my TikTok live about how when I had a flashback of a certain friend that I had, I realized that I was more open and transparent, as far as what I had going on. I was also way more generous. But one thing that stood out to me is with this particular friend, I would realize that when it came to my friend group, it was all love. I would introduce her, they would accept her with open arms as they did with me. But on the flip side of the coin, when it came to this person's friends, when I would be walking around, her friends, her mutual friends would give me dirty looks. And it would always confound me because I was like, I've never had any conversation with her friends off the record. We've never really been around one another. So why do they have this hostility towards me? And with time, I realized, and ironically enough, it's because when we were at one of her gatherings, and her partner for that time being was present. And I realized out of everyone there at the table, he kept feeling comfortable taking jabs at me. And what's so funny is I had another friend whose partner did the same thing. And it wasn't until I had gotten much older and, just becoming more mature, being more observant and aware of certain things that are happening, I realized that this is a dead giveaway, that somebody is having you around because they benefit from you in some way. It's a parasitic relationship or nature, but they don't necessarily respect you or like you. And another thing to take note of is this: when you're dealing with an envious person, they are also territorial in nature. So them going around and painting your character in a negative light to where other people won't find you appealing is also a way of them asserting dominance and possession over you so that other people won't be able to benefit from your contributions. It's a very sick relationship, but when you understand the parasite envious archetype from the book Green Eyes, you'll understand how this happens. When someone is aligning themselves with you because they are trying to feed off of you, very similar to a parasite, right? How parasites feed off of a healthy host in order to survive. When you're dealing with someone who is parasitic in nature, that possessiveness, being territorial, also wanting proximity to you and your whereabouts, they want to know the ins and outs of your life and everything that you're doing. But when it comes to other people in their circle, you don't get that same access. It's because they don't want other people to benefit off of you the way that they do. And I also want to provide some additional context because in this analysis today, I want to talk about how this type of dynamic becomes prevalent when you're dealing with someone who is positioning you as their personal sidekick because they don't want to give you enough leeway to branch out and surpass them or exceed them in life. They perceive your potential, and the reason why they will rush to gain proximity to you first before other people get proximity to you is because they want to make sure that you stay at a particular level, that you don't exceed too high for their comfort. Now, to further explain this dynamic that I'm describing in this analysis, I'm actually going to read from an excerpt in the book In the Lion's Den, Navigating Systems of Power, titled Encapsulate the Enigma. And the excerpt reads, "An infamous strategy for neutralizing threats within systems of power is deceptively simple. Take the threat under one's wing. This tactic is particularly insidious because it operates under the guise of mentorship or counsel. As discussed in the book Green Eyes, the malicious mentor is an envious archetype that suppresses others' success. Dealing with such individuals becomes even more complex in business and professional environments. Their efforts don't stop at obstructing competitors. They aim to control every facet of their target's life. This control can manifest in several ways: shelving critical projects, delaying assignments, or entrapping their targets in restrictive contractual agreements." So what this excerpt does is it provides some context, because I know some people will find themselves wondering why someone will go out of their way to be around or gain access to a person's life that gets under your skin. Being around them irks you, it irritates you. And it's because envious people need access. And I've posted a video titled Envious People Need Access or something along those lines. Maybe it was in my video titled Envious People Need You to Survive. But understand that envious individuals require access to their target of envy's life. And they will gain that access under the guise of a business partnership, a friendship, or a mentorship, because they need access to their target of envy in order to destroy them. So be mindful before you enthrall yourself in another person's life, the ins and outs of their routine, their projects, their goals, because this person may not necessarily be seeking a friendship from you. Instead, they may have sinister intentions to make you their sidekick, with the sole purpose of stifling your personal success. All right, babes, that's all that I have for this analysis, describing how people will use friendship with the sole purpose of positioning you as their personal sidekick. Of course, I want to hear you all's comments, your opinions, your perspectives, even your personal experience with a situation such as what was presented in this analysis. I thank you all so much for tuning in. I look forward to speaking to you guys in the next analysis. Take care, babes.